Thanks very much, Sakina. Well, let's continue looking at issues that are grasping the country, particularly with water, and that's, of course, where we lead to the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. This recently slipped from the grasp of a historical drought, which nearly saw taps run dry in the city. Massive water augmentation efforts were put in place and millions spent to keep the water flowing. But now, with water in the dams, supply issues persist due to water infrastructure problems coupled with leaks. The impact of rolling blackouts and electricity supply failures also contribute to water distribution problems. But how does a metro like Nelson Mandela Bay deal with the cards it is dealt? Let's cross over to Lerato Fekisi, and that's one of the subjects that she'll be addressing with regard to the problem of water. Lerato, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning, Chilana. Like you said in your intro, the Metro was able to prevent dry taps last year, a work done by the municipality, but it seems like we're not out of the woods yet. Continuous aging infrastructure has led to continuous lack of water distribution in the Metro. Just about 2 days ago, Leanne, we had the western side of the Metro without water. But joining me this morning is the Senior Director for Water and Sanitation in the Metro, Mr. Barry Martin. Tell us more exactly how bad are the infrastructure problems and what the municipality is doing to try and make sure our taps don't run dry. Mr. Martin, obviously you said earlier on we're not out of the woods. We survived a drought of 7 years last year and ensured that no taps ran dry, but you say it's still too early to celebrate yet.
Yes, that is correct, and good morning to you and good morning to your listeners. As we in Nelson Mandela Bay Metro has been in an 8-year drought, as of last year November, the Mpofu Dam is still sitting at 40%, and as a result we 40%, meaning we still have a 40% drought into the supply system of NMBM. With that in mind, we realize that we're not out of the wood yet, and we still have to dedicate our water supply for the people, and that is the biggest dedicated water supply to NMBM. We know that the Drought Dam is reasonably full, which we get Nooit Gedacht water from, but we must realize that we're just a small user of that, and that our main source remains the western part of the Metro, and with us still having a 40% restriction on that, there is where our big concern lies, and therefore anything that goes slightly wrong on that, and if we cannot bring more water from Nooit Gedacht to augment the demand on the western and southern parts of the Metro, as well as some of the industrial areas and areas like Kwanabushle, then you sit with a water shortage. And that is typically what has happened. We had to adjust our operations on Sunday to make this work, and by Sunday evening we started recovery. But obviously water is not like electricity. During load shedding, when you flip the switch, it goes back on again. Water has got a much longer recovery period, so you have to fill up the system slowly, prime it, see that you don't have too much air in the system, because that causes pipe bursts again, and therefore we take a much longer period, and sometimes, like this has happened, it takes sometimes up to a week or 2 weeks to recover, depending on the demand on the system.
Sorry, Barry, just not to cut you, just to also focus, I know that the issue has been the issue of the water and the dams, but also the issue of infrastructure continues to be, aging infrastructure also is a huge problem in the Metro. What is the Metro doing to try and solve? I know that dates back to many years ago, but is there a specific plan to deal with that issue as well?
Okay, we must just to put context in the infrastructure. You know, we speak about old infrastructure, but remember, since the dawn of democracy in 1994, we built more than 75,000 houses in the Metro, and we installed reticulation to support that. So that pipe that was installed then is 30 years old already. So that pipe is old. So we already have aging infrastructure, of new infrastructure that we installed. So that just gives the context of it. And when you look at mechanical electrical equipment, their lifespan is about 12 to 15 years. So with that context, the NMBM has been for many years already investing large parts of the capital budget to actually refurbish infrastructure. We focused a lot on the mechanical electrical side of things. Load shedding hasn't been good to us because that also creates instability on the grid. But with us working closely with our electricity department locally, we've managed to have dedicated electrical supplies to critical installations, and that was exempted from load shedding. And we're getting dedicated supplies from that. So that is, to some extent, we've mitigated the problem. But in terms of AD infrastructure, we've identified certain pipe works that needs to be replaced. Currently, in this current budget, we're spending more than 50 million rand to rehabilitate that infrastructure. But at the same token also, we planned outages. So we place a news advert, social media, the like tell, this area for so long a period will be without water because we then going to fix a pipe.
Thank you very
so
much.
Thank
you so much. Sorry to cut you there. Our time is up. The Senior Director for Water and Sanitation, Mr. Barry Martin, speaking about the plans they have in place to try and ensure our taps don't run dry, speaking about social media outlets that they take out to tell people that they're going to have certain out at a certain time, but also speaking about the infrastructure problems that they're continuing to fixing, especially in terms of fixing the mechanical side of pipes and making sure that on an infrastructure side there is enough water here in the metro. But for now, let's go back to you in studio.
All right, Lerato, thanks very much for that, keeping us updated.